Well, welcome. This is part of kind of what we're doing throughout Nubian, just trying to kind of expand into some more mediums of ways to kind of preface like work that's happening in the city. I know folk have really been engaging in, the written work that we've been able to do, and also to kind of some forays into sound. And so it's cool to do one, just a candid conversation, but also to with a friend. So of course, I'm going to let you introduce yourself because, but we're here with ...
What's going on? I'm Kamal Clark. I lied.
Chaotic vibes today.
I just told you guys I lie. That's not my name. My name is Rob Apollo, and I've been a friend of Kamal's for a long time. And I just dropped an album called Bestie, exclusively. The full album is exclusively through purchasable flash drives on my website, robapollo.com, or on my Instagram, robxapollo.
Back. So why flash drive, first of all?
Yeah, so when I was thinking about the album, when I knew that the album wasn't necessarily what I want to do, for Rob Apollo moving forward. It's not the entirely embodying the direction that I want to go in. So I was trying to think of non-traditional ways that I could release the album where it would still be able to be consumed by people who want to support me, but also not exist in the Rob Apollo zeitgeist moving forward.
Gotcha.
I'm a year ahead or 2 years ahead. Not that I don't want to be associated with the album, but when niggas are really referencing the background of my music, it's not important to me that that exists. It can exist to me as a person, like Kendall, which is my government, but as Rob Apollo, it's not as important. Which is why I was what if I just did physicals or even purchasable only? Mm-hmm. But I don't like the purchasable only digital download. It's cool, but there's no it doesn't make you interact with it really at all. It's not something you can hold. And then naturally I was thinking about physicals. I was thinking about CDs, tapes, and vinyls, but vinyls are expensive as fuck, and it's important to me to make my shit accessible. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then niggas don't have CD players. Even new cars don't even.
They don't have the shit. I don't have a CD player.
There you go. So,
no, because I was talking to John about because I had John here the other day. John and Lexi stopped by, and we were just talking about the physical shit. And just I think the whole notion of curating an experience that doesn't exist anymore. So one thing we talk I don't know if I realized it until I was in that conversation, but it's when was the last time a nigga watched a movie on DVD and watched the special features?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah,
that's true.
Whoa. It's some shit that doesn't happen anymore. I remember being little, you get Monsters Inc. and you could stretch that movie for so long. One, watching the movie, but two, the trailers, all the
extra cuts, the behind the
commentary,
scene,
and it's
flop, what do they call them, goofs or
the bloopers and shit. Yeah, and so it's people don't even consume movies like that anymore. Mm-hmm. I know that Disney or HBO, they'll have sometimes they'll have the deleted scenes that you can watch, but it's such a thing that's of a past era to where they actually don't have to give you much of that much of it. They can sell it as extra content or DLC, so to speak. So it's I think what's cool is being able to open this flash drive, and it's not just the project, but you have the special features, right. And it really forces people to take ownership of their experience with the music as opposed to just being a passive listener. Where it's it's on, and I'm judging it just as sounds or whatever. It's no, I can dive in and kind of look around, which I think is a cool thing that you can only really truly curate on one body if it's a physical, if it's a disc, or if it's
literally
a flash drive.
Literally, which is also part of the reason. So then I narrowed it down to flash drive. Also because I hadn't seen somebody do it before, and I was kind of interested in it. Even though apparently a nigga did this before. Come on, DM me.
I think JPEG is also doing it too.
Really?
I think someone said it the other day, but I could be wrong.
Come on, DM me some nigga who I never heard of who sent me who did some shit like this a month ago, and I was what the fuck? But whatever. So shout out to that nigga. Shout out to bro. I thought nobody had done it before, and like you said, I wanted to put extra shit on there because when I did horror, like horror was supposed to be like not just an album. It was supposed to be like a whole piece, like with all these visuals attached to it. But instead, people just pretty much like took the visuals as promotion for the album, which is like fine, but it was supposed to be an all-encompassing thing. Yeah. But with Bestie now, like the flash drive is Bestie. So Bestie is not just the album, it's everything that's like on the flash drive. And I think that communicates better because it's a part of like one cohesive thing. So it's like that and the album lyric and photo booklet and then like the mini documentary, which is really just like cut together videos of like me and my friends hanging out, which we just watched a minute ago. So like it feels like it's all part of it.
Yeah, it feels like there's a greater ability to like with each project like to distinguish them by like something that's true to the meta of it. Because I think like for us independent artists, there's a lot of shit that we just have to do like that's just like standard or like what you do now is just what you do. But I think like being able to take because you've done horror is multimedia. Mm-hmm. And this is multimedia. Most of your projects happen because they have videos, but like being able to have a distinct vision, mission, and like something, a means of like release that's also in tandem with that. To where I think that's like something to where now, like once you build the muscles musically from just like, project, boom, 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 roll out, you start focusing more on like how, like what's the experience of it or like what does this mean? Yeah. Which I think is like a cool, like another way of framing that,
Yeah, dude, because fucking like albums now, like niggas aren't really engaging with it.
Not
at
all.
Like with the new like pump and dump shit, like where niggas are just dropping like super long like albums, or even like small artists like us, not even per se, like dropping albums and people engage with it for like 4 days, like at best, and then like listen to the album once maybe or twice or da, and then by the next week like it doesn't exist anymore. Like literally niggas don't think about it at all. And it's like I miss when people would really like an album came out and it was like not just a moment when it came out, but like it held weight like moving forward. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I was trying to create something where people would have to like not even necessarily critically, but for lack of a better word, like critically engage with the work that I made.
No, I feel that because I think we joke about this all the time. I think like there's a challenge of like a meaning, and I think like for a lot of us, we'll see some shit we talk about in organizing, like not seeing people as soldiers, but seeing them as people. So I think like when it even comes to music and like sharing music, it's like people that support you, people that help get the project up. You can't just see it as like, that's like part of the Spotify listeners, yada yada. That's a number. It's like what are the sensitivities that are like pulling them in? Like what are the things that and I'll say this for your music because your music is like music that a lot of folk will touch or like live in. What is it about the music that makes them feel safe or like feel heard or it makes them feel like curious? And so I think like being able to be in touch with that and then like curate based on that it's so much more true to like building real community through music, but also to like a real like personal narrative because there's actual weight in it as opposed to just like like we did this like. Don't get me wrong, there's always like the back end of stuff and logistics, but like, we just ran ads and then like these are the folk that like it enough to listen to it once a month,
Yeah, I was talking to Kyle about that because like when I was making this, I was kind of like almost specifically geared towards my friends. Mm-hmm. Like I was making these songs thinking about my friends, like specifically like my group of friends when I was in St. Louis because I went to school in St. Louis for 4 years. So like this album is mostly about my like 5 closest friends in St. Louis because we were like a group of friends or whatever. And I was thinking about them listening to and reacting to the album, like to some of the lyrics, like, I remember this, especially in the intro, like, I remember this specifically, or like all this like stuff that I'm saying, like, or a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is like very specific, and like detailed. And Kaya was telling me he thinks like the more like the smaller like the target group is of like people for it, the more interesting he feels like it is. Like even that mini documentary, like it's so clearly like not like for the consumer. Like,
it's just really like folk hanging out.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
No, I think that's super true. Because Kyle had a similar conversation too. Because it's like when it comes to like music, and you're talking about, I feel like sometimes when we want to talk about ourselves and we talk about our lives, like I can say that from being in a space where I'm making a project like that. It's super easy to want to say it in the most interesting way, right. And like so often I think we probably had this conversation too. Like, what's most interesting is just the hyper specificity of it. Of like that time we went here and did this and this happened.
Literally,
because then it's like, oh, this is your actual story, not the like one that was filtered through all these different spaces. Like, no, like that's what actually happened, and that's what people will find interesting. That's why, like, I always say, and when people are like, oh, people don't fuck with me, people don't support me or whatever, it's like, you as a creator are one of the most interesting people. Right. Because you're always like taking experience and like finding a way to express it. Most people can't do that. Yeah. So they actually appreciate the fact that you do. Yeah. And I think that's why like the hyper specificity of stuff works so well. Because it's like, oh, like it does take a lot to just like say that. Like even if it's small or if it's something just like random, you know?
Thank you. Yeah. I think that's like one thing like all of our like friends have in common. Like I like everybody's songwriting because it feels like people are really like writing their truth or something, or like saying things, even if it's not necessarily speaking. Like for me, it's more lyrical, but like even if it's not speaking through the lyrics, like in somebody's like production or tone, like it, like that can feel niche and specific to like who they are. And it's like I've always felt like, bro, if you're making music and it's not like specific to who you are, what the fuck are you? Why are you making music? Like niggas be like any genre. Like niggas be singing like about shit that a million niggas have sang about before. So I'm like, bro, how is this your story though? Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Which is like what I was saying about like the whole album. Like the first line in the album is like, I'm in Edda's stealing snacks and shit. Real niggas know. A lot of white kids pay for it. Real niggas don't. Edda's is the like the small cafe on campus that's by the art school. I'm dead. And they like it used to be like you pay for food at the counter, but then they made it like this automated system where it's like you literally just go in and grab the food and you're supposed to scan it.
But it's like, what niggas about to do that for?
That's what I'm saying.
In college?
Like, so all the real niggas was just stealing that shit. Like, so I'm in Edda stealing snacks. Really, a lot of the white kids, and then like the rich white kids, they would be too nervous, and like the foreign like kids would be like too nervous, and then they would like they pay for the show, or they would just have the bread or whatever. But me and all my friends, we was stealing that shit.
I'm fucking dead. No, I feel like like that's probably the best shit. It's just like the small shit, and also too like. I don't know. I just feel like too, like when it comes to like niggas and like making music, a lot of times like, but there's a fucking Nipsey quote that's similar to what she said, and I'm gonna slightly misquote it because he said some shit like, "Oh, if you don't have a life worth rapping about, like why are you a rapper?" Literally, yeah, I know. Exactly. And it was just a funny ass quote because Nipsey was like dead serious and shit, but it's like you don't even necessarily have to have fucking like, oh, I grew up down bad or yada yada. It's like no, it's just like. Everybody has something to talk about. It's just a matter of if you have the will and you're open enough to talk about it, as opposed to just like the kind of like the presented shit that like we all get from like everything. Like, I mean, if I want to hear about like just content, regular content, there's so many rappers that do that that are like already good, you know.
Literally. Yes, I don't know. It's just always been like important to me to have like niche and specific like songwriting. You know, I don't know. It's just.
No, I think that's super valid. And also, too, I think, like, part of it is, like, bro, you pick up... This is like an aside, but that's, like, related. I think, like, creatively, you're going to pick up language from the people you're around. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very often, like... Because I think part of it is, like, we have this perception of songwriting. I was talking about this the other night when I had, like, some friends over. Most people don't even know the full extent to what songwriting is. Like, there's, like, the niggas that come in and, like, just... hum a melody, or there's niggas that get like the cadence, and they all kind of songwriters. But I think like very often there's such a like this idea of like commodifying it to the point of like, oh, you gotta have the best language, the best words, so everything has to be like from you. And I think so many times a lot of the shit that you pick up or stuff that you're saying in your music is shit that might just like you pick up from being around people, and like, or even textures or ways of expressing things. Like I think like even for like Horror, for example, was a project that made space for queer folk, trans folk, and like just through honesty, but it also comes from like finding I was looking at this nigga who got
I saw this nigga with the dog.
His dog is fire.
I was looking too. I'm not gonna lie, I was looking too. I was thinking,
that shit fire as hell. Shout out to him, but he don't talk to me because the white people here don't talk to us for real. But yeah, no, but like it's like finding the attention to language that like does make people feel safe, but also allows people to be free and allows people to express themselves. And so like that's like another piece of it is like being able to pull in like that and like even just the creative ideas that wouldn't be on your radar if you were just like making music like lone solo dolo.
Yeah, no, 1,000%. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, because everything about that, because I always be saying shit like John and all these crazy words on music. It's like, bro, I'm from Detroit. We don't say that shit here, but it's just like stuff you pick up from being around people.
That's another thing about like when I was in like St. Louis. So it's like out of the six of us, right? Like Molly lived in like 8 different states because her mom was like in the Air Force, so she's not really like from nowhere, but like she spent a lot of time in the South.
Word.
And then Annie's from Denver, and then Andriana's from New Jersey, and then Mariah's from Little Rock, Arkansas, and then I'm from Detroit, and then Kale is from fucking rural Missouri, town of like 600. So it's like it's really random. And then even if you extend that to like our like a Jay's from France, like Jordan being from Boston, and then like Chris, like our other homie, like who's in the documentary and was in the Love Sex Friendship video, like she's from like fucking like Maryland or like something like that. Like there's no 2 niggas from like the same place, you know what I'm saying? So it's like just picking up on like not just like regional dialect, but also like what niggas be on. And like niggas like ethnic backgrounds.
And
like,
just sensitivity. Yeah, like shit like that.
You know, like eating pierogies and shit. Like, because Andriana's fucking Ukrainian. I didn't know
that's fire.
pierogi was, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's just like a lot of shit like that. Just felt like a lot of us like just coming together and like learning about things together, which was nice. And I don't know, just something like that I wanted to document. Like, I mentioned all of them by name at least twice like, in the album. And some people like 3-4 times, just because it's like, I feel like in songwriting a lot, like even when I'm listening to somebody else's song, I love when somebody like says somebody's name or says something like
real it's just like it puts you there. You know?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it makes it feel like more real and honest than like when niggas is just like, you know, saying some random experience that everybody's fucking had before. Like, we in a party. We up a car.
My life a movie.
Yeah, sorry,
also shout out Ukrainians. We were at a party last night and the host was very adamant about telling me they're Russian. Shout out to them. But they had some pierogies in the freezer, but the freezer was
you said, shout out to Ukrainians, and then you talked about this Russian girl.
I mean, they were like right next door.
Yeah, no,
so
like, they got some tension.
They got some tension for sure.
Hey, y'all
vibes are not okay.
Y'all gotta sort that out, not us.
Vibes are not okay. But
whose side you on?
I'm picking sides between the Ukrainian and Russian
Let
conflict.
us know in the comments, y'all fucking with the Russians or the Ukrainians.
I do not be in the foreign policy bag, so I'm gonna keep out of that one.
No, her freezer was open.
Yeah, and all her shit was melting. I was like, oh, them pierogies melting.
It was funny as well. We were in this girl's kitchen and like the freezer is open and niggas try to like close the freezer and then it just like opened again. We're like, oh, so this shit been open for a while.
Yeah, she's like, it's been known that all night. I was like, oh, damn, I guess you don't plan on eating that whole freezer of groceries. Bro, that shit was full. Because I've had that happen to me before. I mean, I live in a studio where like my freezer was just open overnight, and then like I was mad as fuck because I had made this fresh smoothie in my food processor, which is over there. Well, it was like a smoothie ice cream kind of vibe type shit where you take the strawberries and I'm not gonna get into that, but I put the shit in the freezer and the freezer was open, and like the night after, the day after when I realized it, the shit was entirely melted and smelled horrible. But it was a whole thing of it. I was literally about to get up and like bang that shit. I was so disappointed. I was sick as hell.
That's the worst.
That's an aside though, but
yeah, shout out to Eastern Europe though.
Yeah, shout out them. They gotta sort that shit out for real.
Yeah, they gotta sort that shit.
There's always tension. What's the shit Drake said? And keep the family close. Like nobody something when the family fuck it, I don't remember it. Whatever.
Nobody wins when a family fighting or something along.
Some shit like that.
That's funny.
They got a line for everything.
Anyways, though, yeah, niggas is from different ethnic backgrounds. Yeah, it's funny too because, dude, I was like, it's like when we would all hang out, it'd be like we have like 2 Filipinos, Mariah's Blasian, Andy's half black, I'm full black, Kale's white, obviously, Molly's white, Andriana's Ukrainian, Jordan's Blasian. It's like, it was a real, like, bro, niggas be killing me because you remember that shit when niggas used to be like, in like 2016, you'd be like, oh, my friend group is so like diverse, and it'd be like 6 white people, a black person, and a mixed person.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Like,
it's not really how
is it really?
Works. I'm like, first of all, y'all ain't got no Asian or Latinx people here at all.
They say,
and it's 75%.
They say diversity is the inclusion of black people.
Inclusion of one black person. If you have one black person, your shit diverse.
You smooth, you good.
But no, it was cool in a literal sense because I was like really like learning like about culture in like a literal sense because like being in fucking like in Detroit and then in Farmington Hills, like I just knew black people and white people. So it's like, and like a few like Indian like and Chaldean people, but I didn't know like any like East Asian or Southeast Asian people like at all. Like
I think
or any Eastern Europeans for real.
That's such a like a college thing because like depending on where you go, because I mean if you go to like a HBCU, I mean you're not gonna see like a Russian guy just like, hey, what's the vibe?
What's up, nigga? And then you say, man, I'm fucking with the Ukrainians for
these my homies. But like I feel like I mean, even if you grow up in the hood or if you grow up in the suburbs, like you don't truly encounter like diversity in like the way, like in a natural way. Like, okay, like prime example would be like, you know, I went to UD in Detroit, which is a private school that's like 70% white, about 25% black, and then there's like Latina population.
It's like a few of them niggas.
Filipino, Asian, but it's like not very many of them. But you don't get to see them like in the community that they want to be in. You see like folk are like forced into like classes or whatever. So when you get to college, you really like see the magnitude to communities of just like the shit of like, oh, you'll have like the Korean students who are like all hanging out in like this specific space or whatever, like just making space for themselves. I think so many students of color specifically, when you get to college, like the number one thing on your radar is like, where do I belong? Yeah. We're like and it's just not to make the shit like some narrative about race or whatever, but like I do think that for like white folk, like they get to college and it's like they don't have that question. I mean, I think naturally,
it's like thinking they already belong.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like I already fit here. And so like you have like, I remember I was laughing with my friend Anna about this, like, bro, the friends that I made in college specifically were like most immediately black students, but then Pakistani students, and then also to like Bengali students.
Word, dude. I got a Pakistani and a Bengali homie. Them niggas cool.
They cool as fuck. And a lot of times,
shout out to Bangladesh. Shout out to Pakistan.
and a lot of times they'll have like very similar. Like a lot of them were like folk that went to school in Detroit or in the hood, and so like they weren't like, I don't know, like, oh, I'm acting black shit. Like, no, they just literally are around black people, and they have like the same experiences, and so like so much of it was. Like, I think when I got to Wayne, there was, like, the Office of Multicultural Student Engagement, which was, like, where niggas hung out and just would be there. I was there my freshman and sophomore year for, like, 2 years every day.
Word.
Just vibing. And that's how I got cool with, like, so many people, like Rachel and, like, Anusha and all these people. And, like, having that type of shit.
That's like the shit that was, like, the OSP, which is, like, the Office of Scholars Program, which is, like, because I was in this, like, scholarship program that was mostly black. And there was 2 other scholarship programs. One was mostly white, even though it wasn't like a white scholarship program, but like it was mostly white. Yeah. And ours used to be all black, but then they opened it, so now it's like 75 or 80% black.
Gotcha.
And then there's this other one that's like aimed towards like Latinx students, which was like 90% Latinx kids, but we shared an office space. So that's how I got friends with like so many of like the Latinx niggas, because it would mostly be like the black kids and them in there. And shout out to Latinx people, because y'all niggas cool. Like and like just like a lot of shared struggle and that, but also just like shared like background and like shared like distaste and like frustrations with like America.
Yeah, it's just like they just get it, bro. I'll never forget. I fucking had psychology like sophomore year with a bunch of friends. There was a black girl, Micah, who's really cool, dope artist. Folk here know her. I think it was like Rachel. It was like a couple people, and then there was this one Mexican friend, Gustavo. Gustavo did not talk like very much. Right. But when he did, it'd be very small shit of just disappointment or disapproval for shit. And so it's funny as fuck because I remember we were all taking the psych class and we all just like naturally sat in the back. And it was funny as fuck because it's like the shit they be saying about like black kids sitting in the back. Like, why are all the black men sitting in the back or whatever? But it was funny. Like it was a line of like 8 of us. And bro, we wouldn't be paying attention to shit, but it would just be like jokes or whatever, and then like
it's that camaraderie though.
Yeah, and then Gustavo would like say some small shit like, this is some bullshit. And it would be the funniest shit just off the strength of like, oh, this nigga just gets it. Like this shit just not cool, like at all. But that's such a like a college thing that I like I hope so many people get, you know.
Nah, yeah, 100%. And that's like, dude, that's like the 6th line in the album. Like, it's like in the OSP with Charlie, cause Charlie's Filipino, but he was in the Latinx scholarship program. So he's like one of the few non-Latinx students. Even though the Philippines it's complicated because they were conquested by Spain. But right,
yeah,
but it doesn't fucking matter. Anyways, and we be in there. It's like in the OSP with Charlie bitching about our landlord. That nigga's a pedophile, and his name is Gant Bloom. Just so you know, hey, Gant Bloom is a pedophile, and he's a very rich and prominent landlord in the St. Louis area, close to Washington University. If he owns Hold Up LLC and is also affiliated with the Craig LLC. So fuck them niggas. Feel free to blow their shit up or report them niggas to something. He's a literal pedophile in a literal sense. You can Google Gant E. Bloom, and the second thing that comes up is registered sex offender.
Oh hell no!
For possession of child pornography. That was my landlord for 2 years.
Oh fuck that.
And a bunch of my friends' homeowners.
We gotta go back and pull up on that nigga on some hot shit.
Yeah, on some. We don't have to turn the cameras off of me. But nah, yeah, fuck that nigga. But anyway, yeah. So it's like, you know, I really be in there. That was like a real cool part of college. It's just like it was, oh man, it was like a different world. Like, especially like if you pick the right school, like there's like communities that like you'll find like a group of people where you're like, oh, y'all niggas are really like me. Like high school was not like that, bro. Like high school was cool. Like I didn't mind high school. Like I had fun, but it was like, there was like not any or very, very few niggas in my high school where I'm like, oh, you're a lot like I am. Like I'm supposed to be here. Like when I'm in
high school is like you really do, not necessarily saying you force friendships to be a thing, but it is very much like you have less like spending power, so to speak. Of like college, you could say, okay, I don't want to go over there, but like this feels safe. I can go find that spot. More so than you can with high school. It's like, bro, if it's like 200 of you niggas and like
literally,
what you gonna do? Like. You gotta fuck with somebody.
I got 299 choices. So I'm like, damn. Like literally besides like hanging out, like once I started hanging out with Rory senior year and like starting to meet like art people, I was like, oh, this is my bag. But most of the people that we would be hanging out with did not go to Groves, bro. Like Groves was not really like artsy out of school.
I feel that, yeah.
So I don't know. But
was it like Berkeley kids? Because they be having the artsy kids.
Ferndale more. And frankly, Seahome. Honestly, because
I can see that. Yeah,
Seahome had like a art program that like called like Flex or some shit that Groves did not have. Yeah. So it's like all the cool like Seahome niggas were in that. So
I remember we went to their place before their musicals. Their shit wasn't as good as ours. Whatever.
Word.
That's just me talking some little high school shit. UD had the best shit.
Drop your high school. Drop your high school in the comments.
We had the best shit at that time. I don't know if they do now, but
word.
That's some small shit.
Yeah, it's a random shit. But anyways, though, yeah, like you really find your people in college, and it's like I really like felt like I found my people, like with my friends, because it was like, look, like I met Annie when we visited WashU at the same time because they like flew us out for the like program, like the prospective scholars or whatever. So we met. They actually did that twice. So I met Annie twice before we went to WashU, and then we became good friends, and we were like, oh. Like there will be more people like us at WashU, and that's like why we went. I know it's like, and Annie told me like that was like the main reason why they went to WashU, which is like dope and cool to hear from like such a close friend. But then we got there, and really it wasn't that many niggas like us, but there was enough.
I'm dead. That's like some Hunter x Hunter shit. It's like going in Killua.
Literally,
niggas is like, oh, we cool. Like it's just like off rip.
Like walking. Literally, that's literally exactly what it was like.
Niggas is just cool. Like this is my man's for real.
Yeah, and then Andriana was one of the few like white kids in our scholarship program. And Annie was really like closer with Andriana than I was. But then like through Annie, like I became better friends with Andriana. And then when I transferred to the art school, like, so I was in a business school. Yeah. And then when I transferred to the art school, like, and me and Adriana were in the same program, we started spending a lot of time together. And then Mariah, similar shit. So when Mariah was a prospective scholar for Irvin, she just literally like completely randomly, because they more or less assign you randomly. She got like assigned to stay with Andriana. Like,
that's fine.
As like the first scholarship weekend. And literally if it was anybody else, she probably would not have come. But then we were hanging around her. We were like, oh, this girl is dope too. And then she was like, oh, these will be my friends. So then she came to WashU. Then she immediately like, and she was in art school too. So then she immediately like got indoctrinated into our friend group. And then Kill was in the white scholarship program. Nah, fuck them niggas. Like most.
What, they sent that nigga over. They traded him or some shit.
They damn near did. They might as well have, bro. Like 9 out of 10 of them niggas, bro. 9 out of 10 of them niggas are not cool. Like in their program, like them niggas are not cool for real. But Kill is that boy. And I would just see him in OSP, and then he's in art school too. So then we were friends, and then that's just kind of how. And then Molly was on my freshman floor, and then when we started dating, she started hanging out with all of my friends, and then next thing you know, that's what it was.
Shout out to freshman floor.
Yeah, shout out to freshman floor for real.
Was that the only year you were in the dorms?
Yeah.
Or that's what I thought.
Because most sophomores stay on campus, but it's like twice as expensive than off campus.
Oh.
So when I was like, bro, fuck that shit. And I didn't like being on campus because it's like...
It's hit or miss on some colleges, I feel like.
Yeah. At WashU, it's hard because it's like when you're on campus, it feels like it doesn't feel like you're in the real world. Yeah. Like, it very much like feels like fake world. And like, it was important to me like to get involved with St. Louis, but if you're living on campus, you can't do it. Especially if you can't have a car on campus.
Because also St. Louis isn't like a horrible place, but St. Louis is a hood, like which is also part of it too. Which is, I think like when I got to go down there, what's funny perspective, like seeing like the equivalent of like Boston Edison here, or like something like that, or Indian Village here, like erected in the middle of like a city where you read about shit. You're like, oh damn, niggas there is not in good shape at all.
Yeah, no, St. Louis is fire. It's for sure the hood though. It's like Detroit. I mean, it's
it's like a lot of the same shit.
There's nice places, and then like dude, where my school is will be like, actually our school will be like the border where it becomes Ferndale-ish. Mm-hmm. Just in the sense of like, because WashU's on the border of like St. Louis and another city, like a suburb. Yeah. It's like kind of regular, like more like Southfield, like a Southfield like type of city where it's like regular, but it's not hood for real. But there are a lot of places in St. Louis that are just the hood. But I love St. Louis. I mean, there's a lot of places that are not the hood, and there's places that are the hood that are dope. Like, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I feel like once you really start kind of getting outside and going places for real, that shit don't really phase you. Because I mean, if you're from Detroit, it's like, oh, this is just literally the same shit.
You just gotta like know how to navigate it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not fucking going sightseeing. You know what I'm saying?
Niggas only take L's when they don't know what they on and just making bad decisions.
Niggas be walking around with a bunch of expensive stuff on them at night in a place that they don't know, looking around like this.
Just
I'm like, bro, no wonder you niggas keep getting robbed.
I remember there was some shit at Wayne where this. It's not to make fun of anyone's experience.
Oh no!
But this guy got robbed. Basically, he was walking outside. They told him to get in the car, and then they drove him to the ATM and had him like withdraw all of the money in there, like in increments or whatever. Now, my question became that day, like, if they had a gun, only to find out they didn't even have a gun. So it begs the question of why the fuck he got into the car.
They were just like, get in the car.
They was like, get in the car. And he just got in. It's like, bro, like, what do you...
Give us all your money. And then he was like...
Bro, imagine niggas behind you and you withdrawing your entire bank account. Like, they're not even robbing you or beating you up. You're doing this. You're robbing yourself actively. Effectively.
You just need like $20 to pay your barber. You're like, hey, I got
It's like, hey, bro, can I just leave 100 on here? They say, no, bro.
You mind if I use this real quick? Actually, can you just slide me a 20? Since evidently you got all the money in the world. No, dude, that shit used to happen, bro. Because look, we would get crime alert emails every time somebody got robbed, and there was a period of time where that shit was happening every day. And it's funny is not the right word, but WashU actually, in terms of like student family income, WashU is the richest school in the entire country, like in the entire country, like more than the Ivies. So, like, when WashU niggas was getting robbed by St. Louis niggas, I was like, this is just wealth redistribution, so I don't really give a fuck. And, some of the shit used to be, like, funny. Like, this one person, like, they just walked up to them and just asked for their wallet, and then they gave away their wallet, like, phone and keys. And then them niggas took their car and fucking left. I was like, bro, they didn't even ask for your car. And I don't even think it was gunpoint. It might have been, but I don't think it was.
If it's not, it just feels bad.
Niggas asked for your wallet and you gave up your whip?
You're like, hey, bro, take it all.
I get to be scared, you know.
But yeah, if you're flustered. But like, because I be talking about that sometimes, or like, my parents hate when I joke like that, but I'm like, look, if somebody takes my car, they probably need that shit more than I do. Yeah, I feel like probably. Like if it's that dire. I mean, I know there's like niggas that really just got a fetish for a nice
Subaru.
Come up on a nice Subaru. Yeah, but like, bro, if somebody really it came to that, or somebody like took some shit from me for real, They probably need that shit.
That's how I thought when I was in college, but now I'm broke as fuck and I don't feel like that at all. Niggas trying to rob me, you got to take my life.
You got to kill me.
I need this whip. Nigga gonna feel bad. He be like, all right, my bad.
Like, all right,
my shit was, I would just point out like a richer nigga. I'd be like, hey, bro, I know you trying to rob me right now, but look, I know where some rich niggas stay. I was like, they should be unlocked. You go through the back.
I got you, bro.
I set a friend up. I'm like, yeah, so here's the address. And I text my friend my bad. And they say, oh, what do you mean? And they get robbed by me.
It's some shit for you in the back. Like, they knocked them unconscious on some cartoon shit. You know the shit on cartoons where they knock niggas out and they have the X's over their eyes? It's like some stupid
they just like, or they get like the big lump. They go up like
boing. Some dumb shit. Like, oh, my fault, bro.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. Niggas tried to rob me, like my sophomore year. Like, my car started getting... This is what happened, though. Like, so I was driving back from studio, which is like the studio in which you do art, like, or whatever, which I talk about on the album, on the song House Show. All my niggas down bad in the art school. But anyways, I'm driving home from studio at like 3 a.m, right? So I'm tired as fuck driving home to my apartment. And then all of a sudden there's this black, it was a black Nissan Altima with all black tinted windows and rims.
Bro, what is it with black people with Nissans?
Bro, I don't know.
It's a thing.
Especially in St. Louis, niggas, bro, every other nigga in St. Louis driving an Altima or Maxima. Anyway,
that's the thing.
Nigga pull up right behind me. And like, I turn in my neighborhood and this car just speeds up and turns in the neighborhood like right behind me. No blinker. Okay? And also, mind you, I live there, so I know the cars that be on the street.
Yeah.
I don't recognize this car, but also I'm not tripping yet. So I'm like, all right, I'm a little wary. And niggas be getting robbed. The neighborhood I live in is where most students get robbed.
Gotcha.
So I was like, all right, let me see something. So then I speed down the street. And then the car speeds up and stays behind me.
Oh yeah.
And then I go the whole loop because it's like a one-way loop where it like goes into the neighborhood and then it comes back out the neighborhood. I do the whole loop, car stay behind me. So I'm like, oh, so you niggas aren't trying to park your car.
Yeah, these niggas is on
like,
bad
you niggas
time.
aren't going into this neighborhood. You're following my car.
Right. So I'm actually finally asked about the fucking project. But my question is not even necessarily about like the making of it. More so like, what do you want this project to say about you now? And where you are now?
That's interesting. I guess like from like a literal like musical perspective, like I want it to show like that I can do honesty, like brutal honesty in more ways than like sadness. Because it's like it's a very like honest and heartfelt album, like in like the way the Saint Hades Wounds album was. But it's sonically like way different and like way more joyful. Because like, don't get me wrong, horror is honest, but it's not like really like specific or like me talking about my life quite as much. Like it is, but like it isn't. You know what I'm saying? But like this shit is like very, very like I wanted to like I guess like show like that as an artist like and like a songwriter like what I'm really trying to do is like showcase like my life experiences and like my perspectives in my music. Even though when I was making it, I wasn't really thinking about like what it would represent for me as an artist, and I was more so just like trying to. I mean, we talked about this, but like the big thing with the album was I wanted to document like a time that I knew would be nostalgic in the future. And essentially act as a time capsule that could be looked upon in the future, I guess, by myself and my friends and by like other people. It's like, oh, this is what college experience really was like. Like, I want it to be like a very authentic rendition of college experience through my own lens. And like something that like, I want it to feel like memories, you know, because it's like, I wrote half the album after I graduated, right? So it's like, I was already thinking about that shit like as memories, as things that happened. Like, okay, what frame of mind was I in then? And what frame of mind am I in now? And how can I authentically capture that, like this moment, for the future?
Yeah, I think so much of it is too. Well, because bro, like it feels like with college, you experience or just if anything, you experience like the big things that like people may record or may take pictures of, like the big moments or whatever, the classics. You know, like, oh, it was a classic last night type shit. Yeah. But like the majority of space that you're in with people that you love is like mundane or stuff that's not recorded, and so it's like it feels like when you leave or you go into a transition to like another point, that's the stuff you miss. Like you don't even necessarily miss like the oh yeah, we all went out and crazy vibe, boom, boom, boom. It's a movie. Sorry for my horrible jokes, but like it's like that stuff.
It's the everyday shit.
Yeah, it's the everyday, and the nature of being too like in a pandemic, and there's technically 3, I guess you could say, college generations that like had their end of college like just like ripped from them type shit. Like, oh yeah, it's all right, it's all good, bro. You be smooth. They just hand you the diploma, but it's like you forget this is like the only time where people are living right next to everyone that they want to like be with, like literally at all times, and like don't have to get up and go somewhere crazy. They can just walk up the street and just be there. You know? It's
weird because thinking about it, like I was thinking about it all of senior year. Like I was in these moments like this is such a specific and crazy and like amazing, frankly, like time that I will never ever get again. And not that like I can't feel that little level of like joy like again, but it'll look different, whatever it is. Like it'll never be like this again. Which is like weird to be in moments. Like a couple of the last times, cause like we used to like, like the beginning of the second verse on the intro is like, late to the party again. I'm sorry, I was just getting dressed. Well, it's not really a party. It's just me and 6 of my friends. I'm gonna bring the Bacardi, lemon, or lime. It really depends. Brand new Newports just for porch. My homies ain't smoking on pens. Because like we used to just like once or twice a week, just like hang out together and just like drink and like smoke on the porch, right? Like even before like I was smoking, like niggas was smoking on the porch and stuff. And it's like there's like that happened so much that like I can't pinpoint like, oh, this party was crazy, it was just some shit we were doing like all the time. And I remember like the last few times we did that, it was just like it felt so different because I was like, this is really like the end of this. Like this is like this era is done. Like I'm in these moments knowing that I'm sitting in a memory, which is like very strange.
No, it is
very strange. So yeah, but it was like those regular ass moments, or like on 22 when I'm like when it's like zoom off to the Jenny's 102 scoops if the cashier let me, because it's like we used to just go to Jenny's ice cream like all the time, and it was just like some regular shit like, oh, let's just go to Jenny's. It wasn't like, oh, we're building like these crazy like times. We're
at the Jenny's, bro. Crazy vibe at the Jenny's.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like we're just getting out. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that's the shit that was great. You know, like little shit, or just like the song like skating on the pier. Like I miss skating the pier, middle of the day, or like wind in my hair, because like none of my friends were good at skating, or that good at skating. But like we used to just skate on the pair was like the north-south street that ran up our neighborhood that connected all of our streets, because we all lived in the same neighborhood on different streets. But the pair like ran through all of our streets. So that's like fire. Like you would skate down the pair to get to everybody's place or whatever.
That's some real 80s sitcom type shit.
Yeah, literally.
Like Happy Days. Niggas go up the street and just hanging. They jump in. And
bro,
shit.
That is literally exactly what it was.
It's like, it's just some shit. It's like, dang, this is not even common.
No, it'd be like, oh, I'm going to Annie's house, and I would skate there and be there in fucking like 90 seconds, and I just knock on the back porch door and like shit like that, like all the time.
Yeah, no, it's like the only time where you really have that. And so I think that so to talk about the album, like I said this before hopping on to this recorded camera, but like
the album sucks. The album's not good. I know, come on.
No,
I know it's not good. You don't have to say.
So what's interesting on the project is there's a half that like very much, I said this before, like it could feasibly go from the last track of Horror, like the fun kind of like pretty. I think that last track is really pretty, just like the melody and the
fantasy. Thank you.
Yeah,
I like that song.
And there's like these bales in the song, but like it's feasible that could go like from that point to like the start of this one in terms of just one. I mean, it's an auto-tune track. There's like also to the production, but like. What's interesting is, like I was saying this before, like there's the production heavy, like first half, like there's all the things, you know, you just do with music, like the backing vocals, the, you know, the structure, even like the idea of like feature, like bringing folk on or sounds, and so much of that leaves, like, because it's almost like, I mean, because there's like, not to spoil it for folk, but like there's audio of like moments with friends that are like more prominent earlier. But it's like it suspends the need to have that later, and like there's like no backings. It's just like take, boom, and it goes all the way through one fluid song to where you get to the last track and it's just that, and there's no backings, there's no like audio, because it doesn't have to like it no longer has to curate that because it's just so candid at that point, which is like super interesting. And so I guess that's to give some folks some context as to like what the shit sounds like. But
thank you. Yeah. Dude, I really love I really like the outro because like I don't know if I told you about when I wrote that song, but it was senior year and I was drunk alone in the park on this very beautiful day, laying on this park bench.
So the park
drunk off fucking White Claw because I drank 3 White Claw, but I hadn't like eaten enough food. So
Not the White Claw.
I got way drunker on 3 White Claws than I should have been. Like it was like
that's fucking.
I was legitimately pretty drunk. And it was like 2 p.m. And I wrote this song, and I was like, dude, I'm drunk, right? And I'm like, I should just record this right now. So then I walk home or skate home. I probably skated there, so I skated home. Skating drunk also is fun, but also. I've had some accidents. Yeah. But anyways, I skate home and I record this shit literally. I did 2 takes of the entire song, drunk, maybe even 1, but I think it was 2. And then I did like a quick like mix of it, like a real dirty mix. And then I went to sleep. I took a fucking nap. Went to bed. And like even in the beginning of the song, it's like drunk at 12:58 p.m. Like it's like, and then I took a nap after. And then when I listened back the next day, at first I was like, oh, I should like re-record this and make it sound cleaner. And I sent it to a couple people, and they're like, no, you should just leave it. And the more I listened to it, I was like, oh no, this is perfect.
Yeah,
because like you can hear me slurring the words, and it like feels more endearing. Yeah, and I like how it just rides out for the last minute because like. I could have put like audio clips of like friends or like talk more about this.
It speaks for itself.
Like it's so pretty. Also, shout out to Stevie. I think Stevie did that. Stevie did that melody.
Shout out Stevie.
Stevie, no, that's my homie. I love you, Stevie. And it's just like so pretty, and it just like for some reason like the silence feels powerful because it just rides out for so long.
And it's too. I mean, it's knowing like. Now we're getting meta, but this is like the natural. This is just what I be on. It's almost like in friendship, there's. Most people, I mean, unless you're like a psycho or a narcissist, like most people have a point where they know when they're taking up too much space, like in like a friend group or like in a dynamic in a conversation. And so I think what's interesting is like, I mean, granted, we're in an era where like letting music ride out is not super common. That's why when like Igor happened, people were like, "What the fuck? He's letting music be music." Like, yeah, that's what they used to do all the time. It's how a lot of this shit came to be. But like, I think like. It's almost the notion of like you've spent the project like taking up a lot of space in terms of like these are the stories, but then it's like just let that be, let people take all of that in for that last minute to where it's like they don't have to like listen to an idea to the last minute of like oh yeah, song over, like you know the shit.
Oh wait, I'm sad, but I'm also happy.
The shit on Mr. Carter with Lil Wayne rapping without the beat, he like flows so pro. I'm gonna go Macho Man Randy Savage. It's like it was fire then, but it's like if you in an album like that, it's like, bro, like allow people to like finish like. Reflecting on the idea and allow the idea to like sit, and then the music can have that moment of like, you know, that last minute to just like ride out, which I think is like super important. And people be forgetting that because people be trying to have like the crazy at the last minute. It's like, geez,
100%.
It's just funny as fuck, and I think like that's like one of those things that when we're making music, we do have to leave space for not only like. You know, like from a technical theory, a yada standpoint, but leave space for the listener. Sometimes we forget the listener. We always like are trying to make something that is impressive to our, like, I wouldn't even say contemporaries, but like our peers, or make something that's like gonna make us feel like we've topped the last thing. And it's like ultimately the listeners who receives it. Unless you're genuinely just making some shit for yourself in the crib and you just listen to it.
But you're still a listener.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're still listening.
You have to also think about yourself as a listener.
You say, damn, am I really about to be vibing with this a week from now?
Sometimes the best shit in the album is when some shit is just like when some shit is just right. Because like, bro, like packing in too many, dude, that's what like I had to learn. Like, and this album almost feels like I'm stretching like to my limits of it because it is 12 songs and I always max at 10. But it's just like, if you put too many ideas into something, you might as well put no ideas into something. Yeah. Because like something is so like unfocused, right? So it's like instead of like just focusing on a few things and like really honing in on those and like letting them breathe and stuff. So it's like that's why like I care about like the pacing of the album a lot. Like the beginning is like a lot more fun, but then like you said, like the end is like it's like a lot more like endearing and sad. Like Dorm Room is like a sad song. It's probably the only song on the album that's like very overtly sad. I made this one that was like angry song, but it didn't feel like it fit, and that maybe I'll come out for St. Hades and because like I wanted to talk about like how not just I guess like the bittersweet like feeling of like everything being over, but also I mean like everything wasn't like perfect.
Yeah,
with, like hanging out. Like, with my friends, like we had our issues, and also like all of us like had a lot of mental shit like going on, like in college, which is like also part of the reason why we became friends. You know what I'm saying? Like found family and shared pain. All my niggas nearly dead. Remember that first panic attack, shivering on Andy's bed. Like that's like shit that was like like really going on too. And it was like important for me to document that. Or like on dorm room talking about like how depressed I was like freshman year and how like fucked up that was. It's like it was all part of it, and it's like I wanted to capture like the whole 9 yards and stuff. So I don't know, that was important to me. When I was making it.
And like after just leaving that space for niggas to like really take it in, because the one thing I hate, I mean that like I won't say hate is a strong word, but I do like when an album is a serious album, when it just jumps from like there's not that attention to sequencing. It's like, okay, this is the worst fucking day, and the next song, this is the second worst fucking day, and there's no pause or there's no like music or something in between. It's like, damn, like fuck, this is overwhelming. Like I can't take this in right now. So I think that is like such a big component of it is like both the honesty, but then also too like giving space to the listener and like giving grace, because I think like a lot of times we as like artists, we're our biggest critic, and we're super sensitive to like how people listen, how people perceive. So we're always like gonna take someone not liking something or something being too much as like something we did, or like oh, they're just a fucking hater, they don't just fucking like me. It's like you gotta remember, give people grace. Like most people aren't, on a day-to-day basis like I need to listen to this person's project right now, right at this moment. And so like one, giving them the time to get to it when they do it, but also like to approach it the way you do. I mean, I've had friends who like listen to my projects, although it kind of be bothering me because I'm like I listen to the album in one fluid motion. There'll be some that like listen to projects like in steps of like, oh, I listened to a couple tracks and then I still have to finish it, and I'm like,
but that's how some people consume
and that's like that's how they consume it, and you have to leave space for that,
Dude, it's funny because I wonder, funny enough, in St. Louis, not that my friends don't like my music, but I don't think my friends are my biggest musical fans, which actually I kind of like. That actually makes a lot of sense. Just in the sense because it's like, oh, our relationship isn't predicated on music. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I actually really like, as a person, like, this, like, I like having my music separate, like, from, like, my identity as, like, a human being. So I'm like, oh, I really like that y'all fuck with me as a human being. And also, like, albeit, like, they come to all my shows and they're, like, very, very, very supportive of all my stuff. But, like, I don't think, like, rap stuff is, like, necessarily, like, the number one thing that, like, a lot of them listen to. And they'll like some of my songs, but So it was interesting, like making this album, because I'm like, oh, in a sense, I'm kind of making this album for you guys, but also like, I don't know if y'all niggas are really gonna care about this music. Like, not care about it in the sense like, oh, I don't care that you made this project, but more so like, oh, is this something that y'all are really gonna listen to? Yeah, they're not about to be like, the mix on this song was so sweet, how you compress this part and like, dude, literally. I think that's super relatable, because I think I had like a similar reflection with like. Because most of my friends are the same. With the exclusion, Miles is probably the person like who's like a friend outside of music that supports the music the most. But Miles is also a creator, so I guess it doesn't count. But I think like I used to have such contempt for friends that didn't listen to my shit. Like I'd always be like, "Whoa, if I was your friend, you really listen to it." But it's like you have to remember, like they didn't meet you as Music Man or whatever. And so I think like. I remember reflecting, like, last year, I mean, part of, like, the past year for me has been, like, one, reconciling with folk, and also, two, like, understanding the places where, like, folk were doing their best. And there were so many friends that, like, they might have not sat down and listened to a whole project, but they came to a show. Right. Or they would buy a shirt or something like that. Or, and like even those small things and things so many times, that dog is so fire. That nigga back? Yeah, that nigga back. That nigga just sweet as hell. Just drippy. Yeah. Oh shit. Hey, my nigga get on. Yeah. We staring at this white man right now.
Yeah, he look like he drink hard cider for sure.
Dude, that nigga look like he drink IPA.
Yeah, he probably did. Cat piss. But we just cooking niggas in my apartment in the courtyard. But no, like we forget so often that people are doing their best. Like everyone is doing their best. It might not mean that like it's the best that they can do, but like. Yeah, there are some niggas who are actively not doing their best.
Some people are really not doing their best. But a lot of people are doing their best. Yeah, most.
Let me rephrase that. Yeah. But I think that's so important because it's like it leaves space for people to fill in where they do. And I think like, I mean, you had, Adriana like help with like the art for the flash drive and like those other small pieces. Like people find the way that it means something to them, like even if it's not necessarily like listen to like the 10 tracks, because that'll be for like the niggas that want to listen to. I feel like inevitably when you first start making music, the majority of people that are going to consume it are like in that way are like other musicians or people who are like have creative disposition, so to speak. But,
yeah, no, definitely. I'm like extremely grateful though, like because they were very supportive and like other ways, like you're talking about, like coming to shows, like buying shirts, like being in my visuals, like I mean, so many, like dude, I mean, everybody's on the horror cover, like all my friends are on the horror cover except Kill wasn't there, and then like another friend like shot the horror cover, and then like Adriana did like the horror design, and then Mariah's in the cover art for 6102, and he's in the whole photo shoot like run for like Bestie and like the cover and stuff, and it's like they've always like been around and like wanting to help in ways like that, and like. I don't know. It's just like that's like really dope. That like even if this music isn't like necessarily your favorite shit ever, like to listen to, that like you're supporting me because I'm your friend. Which is like fire to me. Which is like different from our like relationships here because we're all music niggas. Yeah, like
so it's an entirely different conversation when you play a song.
It's like fundamentally different. like literally.
It's like, oh, that's really interesting. What you did on those vocals there, or like, what you do there.
It's just like, oh, I like the part where you go 6-1.
Like specific lines or like moments.
But like people who don't listen to music, it's just like much more. That's why I like low key getting opinions from people who don't listen to music.
No, it's good
because they'll just point out like some real like overt shit, or they can speak to the feeling better. Because we're thinking so much from a technical aspect.
Yeah, we're like, how do we make this moment?
Oh, this makes me feel happy. It's just like, that's dope. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
that's super true.
At the end of the day, that's what I'm going for. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, oh, I like this one because it's kind of weird. It's like, yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes that rudimentary shit is what you need. Like, I like playing music for Molly because she has like good music taste, but she's also not a music person. So it gives me like an objective person to consume. Versus like a music nigga, which like might, like it's just gonna be different. Yeah, I'm listening to the mix and shit. I'm like, dude, this compression is not good. Yeah, but the song is amazing.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, and I've been noticing that a lot with the boy sessions of just like having, because I've gotten a lot of questions from friends, like why I'm having musician friends, but also to just friends. And it's like, no, bro, because you need them in the fucking room. Yeah. Like. Because if it's just a bunch of musicians in the room, it's so easy to fucking for someone to get in their head or like, oh, well, we need to take this song in this direction or some shit like that. Right. But it's like, no, you're going off of the response in the room or like what people are doing. To where like, there was a moment, the first session where, Don Juan, Zig, and Swizzy came over. And, Zig was joking that they had been like, making beats all day, so hearing 808s for 10 hours is exhausting. Right. And Don Juan just got like really adamant about like no drums. He's like, there's no fucking drums, just no drums. He was getting really serious. It's like, oh dang, like he really adamant about the shit. So we just went like, he picked up my guitar, I picked up a synth, and we just played for like an hour.
Yeah, Thomas told me that. Yeah, I didn't know Don Juan played guitar.
Yeah, no, I think it's nice. He's nice. Yeah. I know it's such a moment of like, once we did that, the others in the room who weren't making music or others who were like waiting for their turn to hop on something, there was so much more space than there was when we were just like, okay, like we need the drums, melody, yada yada, like all the shit that you need for a song or in your mind, so to speak. But
dude, I totally feel that. Like, and I definitely think that like really good ideas can come from people who are not like music artists. Like, for example, so Kale, right? Like Kale writes, but he writes like like stories and like random like shit. But he doesn't write songs. But I think his writing is really interesting. And I've been adamant for like a long time that I wanted him to help me write songs. And then we actually ended up writing like a few, because we started making like this like a country rap EP about a cowboy named Stag Marlboro. Oh, wow. It was like a whole thing, but it was just like fun, right? And we would just drink whiskey and get drunk and then write these songs, and I still have to like mix them and we have to finish recording, but that's not the point. Point is, after we did those silly songs, like it felt like we had like an established comfort where I'm like, you can really help me write songs, because he's a legitimately very, very interesting writer. Like, he's shit out and everything. So actually 22, like on the album, the main part of the hook, Kale wrote that. Like the way too young to show my roots. Like, and then only 22. Like me and him wrote that together, and he came up with that like that primary part of it. So it's just like opening space for people who are like artists or music artists or what fucking ever. Like can be good, because like that nigga's gonna say some shit that you're not gonna say.
Yeah, it's not gonna be in your radar. Once you get so set in your melodies, your yada yada, your theory or whatever, you're so stuck in a particular way.
Or like you have your go-to melodies, you have your go-to like lyrical like formats and stuff. Like everybody has them.
Yeah,
I think that's okay, but it's just like it's nice to have another person to get you like pull you out of that bag.
That's super true.
So yeah,
that's super facts.
Oh yeah. How long do you want to go? So right now we're at 1 hour.
I feel like an hour is good.
Hour is good.
You got some more silly shit or some more deep shit. Let's see.
I feel like I said most of the things that I want to say. I suppose I wanted to get them all documented out. You want to talk about the doc, or do we have to talk about it? I guess we don't need to. We can.
I feel like the doc speaks for itself.
Yeah, there's a little documentary.
You should watch the shit though, y'all.
Documentary in quotation marks on the flash drive, which is like me hanging out with my friends. It's like 13 minutes. But
yeah, it's a bunch of beautiful multicultural people doing very beautiful multicultural things.
Just fucking hanging out.
If that's a reason for you to get you to watch it, then watch it for that reason.
Yeah, we all sexy. We showing ass and pussy and titties.
Yeah, it's really a porno for real. And niggas is really freaky for real.
Yeah, we fucking on the camera for real, y'all.
Yeah,
tap in.
Some real shit. Yeah, I'm actually glad we didn't do this drunk one, because I told you that I was gonna chill on the liquor.
Yeah, me and Kamal kind of developed a little liquor problem.
Nah, it's smooth. It's fine. This shit cool.
It's under control.
This shit cool, really. What nigga ever looks at a nigga who's an alcoholic and says, "Oh, this not fun. He not having fun." Everybody else might not be, but
that nigga getting on.
That nigga having a great time.
Yeah, we were supposed to do it drunk, but then we didn't. But it's okay. We're gonna do more renditions. So yeah, we'll be drunk. Well, maybe we can drink next time after we take a little period of.
Yeah, I've learned that I don't need to be speaking when drunk.
Oh man. Well,
with that being said,
yeah, I'm Kamal Clark.
It's your boy Search, and we're gonna wrap it.
Bonk.
Silly ass sound. Boink. I was putting hella silly sounds into the shit. The first podcast shit. I was like, oh, this is just funny. Like,
oh wait, buy a Bestie flash drive at robapollo.com. My Instagram is Rob X Apollo. My Twitter is Rob X Apollo. Streaming Rob Apollo. It's pretty easy.
Y'all know my social media because I'm gonna post it. Actually, we're gonna do one of those Instagram collab posts.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, those look really advantageous. Dude. If Instagram doesn't fuck.
Yeah, we'll see. I've never tried this. We'll see. Dude, shout out to All Nubian. Big thank you to All Nubian. Shout out Kamal. Yes, if you don't read All Nubian, you're not.
You're probably just a capitalist.
You're a capitalist. Dude, there's probably going to be some capitalists listening to this, though. That sucks. Hey, you guys should convert.
No, a lot of niggas really be capitalists for real and don't be really buying it for real. So that's whatever. But we love you anyways.
We love y'all.
You slowly getting there.
You're going to come to the dark side sooner or later. Yeah. Everybody does.
It's coming.
Regardless. Thanks for listening, guys. And, Bestie.
Oh, wait, I got to say it. Peace and love. And let's grab crayons. It's my little motif. It's my little motif. It's my little motif. It's my little motif. It's my little motif.